Hi, I'm Caz Parker for MMH, the home of rock radio. And today I'm joined by the legends that are Joel Hoekstra and Brandon Gibbs. I'm really, really excited to be chatting to you. And we're doing this ahead of you coming over to the UK for a tour. Well, it's UK and Ireland, and that's in April. So welcome, welcome. How you doing?
What's
Doing
up?
great. Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the way over in the States as well. How are things over there? How's the weather? Better than here, I bet.
Snowy.
Not too great in New York City. I don't think we're probably breaking even with you at best, I'm thinking.
Probably. It sounds like it's definitely not great over here as usual. It's a bit grim and grey, but
Yeah,
it's January.
that's New York City. New York,
Yeah.
New York City keeps up with the UK at this time of year.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we'll brighten it up for when you come over. So you guys are you always seem to be incredibly busy all of the time, and there's so much that you've achieved as well in your careers. But we'll cover a little bit as much as we can today. But I mean, the main thing is we really want to talk about and get people excited and really try and get them to book tickets for the forthcoming tour. That is the whole point. So I read a lovely, lovely write-up, and I couldn't put it better, to be honest, but it says the Hoekstra Gibbs duo is considered by many to be one of the best acoustic duos performing today. Expect a high-energy show with blazing guitar riffs, storytelling, incredible vocal harmonies, and a song selection of music from bands they've each been part of, originals, and rock covers, making this a must-see show. So it does sum it up really marvelously. However, I would like both of you to give it your own kind of, well, that probably is part of your own spin, but let's sell it to the people. Let's tell them what they can expect and what they can be excited about.
Brandon, you want to go first?
Is he frozen?
Uh-oh. Brandon's
Uh-oh.
freezing.
Tech support, we've lost him. This is the problem with trying to connect. But Joel, it's over to you then, because I'm sure he'll get back in.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think it's just a great opportunity to play with somebody who I enjoy performing with Brandon, and have an opportunity to, make quality music and have more intimate like style shows. So, going to the UK, especially, I mean, I've really only been over there with Whitesnake and with Night Ranger and things like that, where we're playing for larger audiences, and there's not the opportunity to say hello to everybody in the room. At these, it's kind of a little more of an opportunity where the diehard fans show up and you get an opportunity to hang and get to, I guess, feel like you hung out with us a little bit more than coming to see an arena show or something like that, and then going, well, I saw him up there, but I didn't get to really talk to him. So anyway, I like it just from the aspect of getting over and connecting with the fans.
Yeah. And you know what? I was thinking about asking you that question as well, like, because it must be, oh, he's on his way back in. This is real life, people. This is what happens. He'll be back in a second. Oh, here he is.
There we go.
Connecting.
He's back.
Hey, you're back.
Sorry, I don't know what happened there. I apologize.
That's all right. This is what happens. It's real life. If we were in the room together, it wouldn't happen, would it? But
No,
we can't be
it
yet.
wouldn't.
We can't be. Maybe we'll do another one when you're on tour, an actual during the show kind of how's it been going one. But for now, it is what it is. We make it work. So So Joel was just saying about how different it's going to be. No, how interesting it's going to be coming and doing something a bit more intimate and kind of. I suppose it's actually looking the fans in the eye, isn't it? And getting to meet everybody. So that's going to make it well for you guys and for the fans. So I was going to say, how does it feel that the difference between playing stadiums, arenas, huge, vast shows versus these intimate gigs where you are up close and personal? How does it feel to you? Do you have a preference, or are there just things that you like about both of them?
Me personally, I almost prefer the acoustic singer songwriter. Because songwriting's everything to me. And before some of these songs, we have a chance to actually talk about why we wrote them and the inspiration behind them. And in a fast-paced show at an arena or a stadium or whatever, you have to go with it. And so
Yeah.
this kind of really breaks it down, and you kind of get to see you know, who we are as songwriters and characters, and we add humor naturally. We don't mind laughing at ourselves either, and so the audience kind of gets, you know, just it's like almost have like dinner and a movie with Brandon and Joel. That's kind of how I describe it.
Oh, that could have been the name for the tour.
Dinner and a movie. Love
Yay.
it.
And what? Okay, then. Oh, this might lead me actually to some nice questions. I was going to say, so what movie would you pick?
Well, if what movie would I pick? I'd probably go with the classic Tombstone. That's my favorite.
Brilliant.
Oh yeah, I love that movie.
Oh, there we go then. Dinner and a movie, and it's Tombstone. We'll have that. Brilliant. I love it. We've renamed the tour. Okay, so and that also helps me with another little question that I had. So it's 12 dates across the UK and Ireland, and obviously I know you've both been over here before. But we talk about dinner. Is there anything that you look forward to when you come to the UK? I mean, good example, food is a good example. So things like we do great beer, we do great curry, tea as well. Chocolate, I rate our chocolate. I really do. I think it's marvelous. Is there anything that you think, right, when I get to the UK, yeah, I'm going to play all the shows. That's going to be one thing. But also, this is what I want for dinner, or this is what I want to go and see. Is there anything in particular?
I'll probably go out and have a couple beers.
Hey.
Yeah, I'm not a big foodie. I'm kind of a hang in, but my typical road existence is to whatever area I'm in to take a nice long walk and kind of soak in the culture around whatever area I'm in. And that's my favorite part of experiencing the UK, or anywhere I go for that matter, is kind of the immediate area around the hotel. I'm not a big like designated, let's go sightseeing here or go to, but I always make it a point to walk around for a good amount of time. Like I'd say an hour around the hotel, take a long walk and just kind of, you know, randomly just check things out, get lost, you know, go find some experiences around the area. So that's what I'm looking forward to. That's my typical road routine. And then the rest of the time is kind of spent actually focusing on music in the room or the gig itself. And, you know, the gig itself, those are always cultural experiences as well, just going into venues and just kind of absorbing the reaction of the audience. And especially at something like this, I did say the other day to a friend that I feel like this is going to be a little bit more of a hands-on feeling, you know, like doing this tour of the UK than being insulated with Whitesnake or whatever on our private jet. And, you know, so this is a little bit more of like, I'm going to really experience it. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. And I think it's a really nice thing to do as well. And one of the things that you don't see a lot of with the UK when you're just doing big cities is the countryside. And it's actually really pretty and really cute and probably quite different as well. So if you get a chance when you're in Wales or Scotland or Yorkshire or any of those areas, try and get out to the sort of where the mountains are and the countryside and the woods and things. It's really cute. So yeah, something like you say, a little bit different, and it gives you a bit more of a proper experience of the culture. Because some of the big cities like London, I mean, most cities are very similar, aren't they? Similar architecture. And they're not as
London is definitely amazing though. I love London is for as far as like the major cities of the world, I'd have to say London is like, you know, if not my favorite, it's top two. I mean, it's amazing in terms of the history, the combination of history and yet feeling kind of like the States, you know, it's like a very, very impressive version of New York City or something.
We've lost Brandon again.
Oh no!
There must be dodgy Wi-Fi at his end. Well, I've got to say, New York's one of my favorite cities in the world as well. So there you go. I'm not from London though. I'm nearer to Birmingham, but I'm out in there. I'm slightly further out, slightly out in the countryside. But okay, well we'll press on because he will get back in. It will just it's going to be one of those.
You can, you know, serve up the next one for me, and then we'll get it.
He can bob in and out. Well, I was going to ask actually, because and you can answer for both of you because there's been a lot of writing and recording. So I believe you're just recently releasing the second single with Revolution Saints that you're playing with now, and I know Brandon's in the studio recording a new track 7th of Feb. So I think those are the latest bits of recording that I can find from checking out what you're doing. But I kind of just wondered if you guys are going to record anything as a duo.
There's been some talk of that, we've, toyed around with the idea. We just haven't gotten it done yet. But yeah, the Revolution Saints singles are being released right now, and the album, I don't have a release date on it for you, but fairly soon, I think, in this year. And then I turned in also my next Joel Hoekstra's 13 album, which is my rock side project where I write everything. And
yeah.
And so that will be out later this year as well. And believe it or not, if these things get done so far in advance that I actually just finished recording the next Revolution Saints album here at home, like literally yesterday.
Oh, wow.
I've been working on that as well. So yeah, the projects are going fast and furious these days between Iconic and Revolution Saints and my Joel Hoekstra's 13 project. And
Yeah.
so it's nice. I mean, I always feel like any opportunity to make music just betters me. I always feel like I'm at least trying to better myself as a musician every day.
Yeah. Well, there's always something going on, and you got to keep yourself busy, haven't you? Let's face it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And whatever you do. So, yeah, the question you just missed there, Brandon, was just about whether you guys are going to record anything together. Because I can see you're back in the studio recording on the 7th of Feb. Is that right? I think.
Me? Yes.
Yeah. And you're always,
February 7th.
yeah, you're both always super busy doing one project or another. But yeah, I was just asking if you were going to record anything together, and Joel said maybe.
Yeah.
As
First
soon
of
as
all,
you get time, I guess.
let me apologize for this Wi-Fi. The weather has everything to do with our signal here. We've had nonstop snow, so my apologies. I can't help it.
It's right.
But yeah, we would like to record, a single, or maybe we've talked about an EP, and maybe this will be a good time to start writing it. We're going to have lots of downtime, and I plan on bringing a pen and paper and jotting down some ideas. I mean, we're going to see a lot of each other and have a lot of time to talk about it. So I would say 100% we're going to do something together for sure.
Hey, well, there you go. That's committed now. Perfect.
Now, we've said it. Now we got to do it, Joel.
You have. This is being recorded, so you can't get out of it now. Okay, so with all of these mega things that you've done, I mean, it's almost too much to list, but like Whitesnake, Trans-Siberian Orchestra, Iconic, 13, Cher, Devil City Angels, Poison, all of the things that you guys do. What would you say? Do you have a favorite or best gig that you've ever played of all time that you look back on and go, oh, that was the one? Or is this like picking your favorite child? Am I asking you a hard question? Probably.
I mean, there's been so many, magical, cool ones that stand out. The ones that really stand out for me are like the most stressful ones,
Right.
because they're like the moments where it's like, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to do this, and then somehow you're able to do it. So, there's always that moment where I filled in for Mick Jones and Foreigner, and I really had like one day to learn the set, and they got it to me, and I was already playing with Night Ranger before them, and so that was like learning the set, flying to Virginia Beach, getting off the plane, having Jeff Pilson about like 6 inches from my fingerboard, listening to me play the set in the hotel room, making sure I wasn't going to make a fool of the band or myself. And going on, I mean, playing the Night Ranger set, and it was 18,000 people. And I was like, I just learned these songs, man, like in a day. And it was sheer terror. All the guys from Journey were there on the side of the stage, unfolded. I was going like, oh my God, this is some serious pressure.
No pressure.
That stands out as just because of surviving the stress and getting through it as a big moment.
Yeah, amazing. Sounds good. How about you, Brandon? Same question.
Well,
favorite
actually,
gig of all time.
Well, I mean, I got to join up on the stadium tour with Poison over the summer, and I'd have to say that pressure, I had about 48 hours notice to. I mean, I sang with the guys in 2015, and of course, Devil City Angels. We cover a little bit of Poison, but I had to go over the set pretty much at an airport, and I grew up with Poison, and they're friends of mine, so it wasn't like walking into something like I.
Snow's got him again. Oh, he'll have to dial back in. What a shame.
Uh,
Ah,
okay, well, shall we start on the next one and he can complete?
to come and just come back. Okay, well, I mean, the only slight there's a slight variation, which means that he can kind of catch back up. Is there anything that you've done recently? Of all the things you've been doing really recently, is there a most favorite thing? So this isn't a best gig ever, but just like of all the stuff that you've achieved, is there anything that you go, it's my favorite thing?
No, it's just kind of the collection
Mm.
of everything together, like the body of work of, I'm involved in a lot of things from Whitesnake to Trans-Siberian Orchestra that you mentioned. Of course, in recent years, Cher. I do these Broadway's Rock of Ages band gigs still, which I'm right about to leave for. I'm going to teach a few
Yeah.
lessons here. So, teaching and playing with the Broadway's Rock of Ages band, the acoustic shows with Brandon. You kind of put all this stuff together in sessions that I do for people and the projects, and it just allows me to make a living doing what I love. And I still aspire to be better. And that's a big part of, I think, just trying to be a better musician is just doing it all the time and just making sure that you're productive consistently.
Yeah.
So that's at the end of the day, that's what I'm proud of, is that I try my best to like do well at this and give people good music to listen to. I don't take it for granted, like the opportunity to make a living doing this.
Yeah.
There's a lot of jaded musicians out there who don't necessarily give their all or aren't very appreciative of the scenario. But for me, this is what I set out to do when I was 11 years old. So
Yeah.
for me to look back and go, gosh, that's kind of amazing. That doesn't happen for most people.
Yeah, no, it does. And you're right. And I remember seeing, being at an interview with Nuno, and he said, you don't plan to do it to earn money. You do it because you love it. And if the money, if it becomes something you can make a living from, then that's a bonus. But if you're trying to do it to earn money, that's going to be hard. And that really resonated. I thought that was really nice because, like you say, if you put your all into it and you work hard at it, it all comes together because you've done well, because you've achieved what you've achieved through hard work and graft and keeping on
Yeah,
to it and caring about it.
it's been a long road of just staying active with guitar and then eventually having things kind of grow and grow until people think that I was doing something completely different throughout my 20s. I've seen some YouTube comments and things like that, but I've been doing guitar the whole time. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just, in terms of rising to the level where people say they know who you are, whatever,
Yeah.
that whole thing, right? Then that took me a while. So,
Yeah.
but I've been busy, active, like as, in my 20s, especially teaching a lot of guitar and kind of supplementing that with gigs. And then I went through about a 20-year period of just only being an entertainer, just only performing and recording.
Yeah.
So during COVID, I kind of went back to the teaching thing and brought it back. And now I've realized like, well, there's no reason to let go of that. I do it remotely now. And nowadays, the situation is set up that you can do this when you're touring, even from your hotel
Yeah.
room and
Of
things.
course you
So
can.
I kind of I look at that as like it's more of an opportunity to share what I do, pass on what I do to other people, and continue to like, be able to make a living with guitar. But yeah, it definitely starts with the love.
Yeah.
You have to be willing to go through a lot of years of being perceived as like the loser at like every family get together and
Yeah.
things of that nature, So I definitely paid my dues in that respect. It took a long time for things to open up, and
Oh.
had my many years of being like he's the guitar player,
Yeah. 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 He's come around for a free meal.
Yeah.
All that stuff. Oh, cool. We're trying to pad, aren't we? But he's not coming back as yet. So as soon as he comes back, I'll let him in. Okay, so talking about that then, because you are an inspiration for a lot of people and you've achieved a lot. Have you ever met any of your musical heroes, and particularly somebody that's kind of made you have maybe a fanboy moment?
I mean, that's kind of been the story of my career from about 2007 until now, is kind of that 80s resurgence thing,
Yeah.
I mean, so I grew up on the 80s stuff. I mean, I
Yeah.
grew up a child of the 80s, and so and some of the late 70s people, we had a big classic rock culture in Chicago, where I grew up in the suburbs. That's a great classic rock area. So but yeah, just getting the opportunity to work with so many of the people that I grew up admiring, or getting to know them. And they, not to make them feel old, because they were all kids. All these guys were rock stars when they were like young 20s. And, but there's a very long list. I wouldn't even know where to begin, but certainly, beginning with me playing in Jim Peterick's world stage. Jim is the co-founder of Survivor. And so he would bring in people that had their hits in the 80s. So that led to me being able to play with like Don Barnes from 38 Special, and Rick Emmett, and Kip Winger, and Alan Parsons, and Kevin Cronin from REO Speedwagon. There's a very, very long list of people that I got to play with in that. And one of them was Kelly Kagi from Night Ranger. So that led to me having the opportunity to join Night Ranger. And certainly, Brad Gillis and Jeff Watson, were guitar heroes of mine growing up. And then, of course, getting the opportunity to do Rock of Ages and having everybody come through, all the celebrities, all the musicians from those bands that, had their music in the show, and hanging with all of them and meeting all of them. And then, you've got joining Whitesnake and joining up with, Tommy Aldridge and David Coverdale, like rock legends. And of course, Reb Beach, Reb and I were already friends at the time, but, these guys are all guys that have done more in the music business than I have, in terms of selling records and being iconic figures in the business. So it's been that way all along. And I get a little numb to it, because, it's always a little like exciting the first time you meet like the people who you admired when you don't know them yet, but then you kind of just become friends.
Yeah.
And then with somebody like David Coverdale, every once in a while you'll be hanging out and you're cracking up and joking, and then all of a sudden he'll start telling you about working with Jimmy Page or Richie Blackmore, and that's when you got to go, oh yeah, wait a minute, like for a minute, you're just hanging out with your friend, and then you realize, oh wait, that's right, this guy's a legend, and I'm just like,
yeah, absolutely.
just a guitar player, so to speak. So it's always exciting though.
Is there anybody that you like, if you could, that you've never met, that you think, oh, if only I could meet that person? Is there anybody that's kind of escaped you so far?
Well, the reason I started was Angus Young, like AC/DC, and I've never crossed paths with Angus. And someday, I know it's like ridiculous, because, I don't necessarily reflect him like in terms of stylistically or anything, but like he was my inspiration as far as his energy on stage, and where he was coming from to like play guitar. The AC/DC, Back in Black is like, when I was a kid, when I heard that, it was like, that's what I want to do. And so Angus would be one. And then, also I'm a bit of a sport guy. So, I grew up in the Chicago area, and we had the Chicago Bulls in the 90s. And so, I'd really like to meet Michael Jordan at some time. I think it would be really fun.
Oh, cool.
That's about
There's always somebody that you'd love to meet, and I just think it's a nice little question. So, okay, I'm going to ask you a few more random questions. Then, have you ever had an embarrassing moment on stage?
Lots of them.
Have you? What's the most? Which one is the one that every now and again you wake up and think, "Oh my God, I can't believe I did that"?
So I've had several like wipeouts where I've fallen. There was a moment with Whitesnake we played, and they had forgotten they laid a tarp over a stage that was too small for the tarp and did not tape and say, here's the end of the stage. And so I stepped on it and my foot just went, it was like, so that was basically like falling off the front of the stage. That was extremely Spinal Tap. And there was a moment with Trans-Siberian Orchestra where I was running across the stage full speed, and my toe caught the stage and I fell forward and wiped out. And that was brilliant. And let's see, I had Rock of Ages. I had a moment where my foot slipped off the bandstand and I fell backwards. So yeah, I guess when you spend as much time on stage as I have over the last, in particular, 22 years, it's bound to happen.
It's bound to happen, yeah.
And even that phrase is very Spinal Tap, but it does. So sooner or later, you're going to wipe out.
Yeah, yeah, no, and do you know what? I think the two things whenever I ask that question, one is always falling off the stage or falling over on the stage, and the other is splitting open their pants. Is the other thing that people say happens. A lot of male musicians say, "Well, there was this time." So,
Yeah, that's happened to me in rehearsals. I've had the full blown, like, TSO dress rehearsals and going through dress rehearsals with going, thank God this isn't a real show because
yeah,
the brand new pants just went right,
and
Lenny Kravitz experience. And
and there's still plenty of people to see it in rehearsals, but not quite as many as if the show was actually in progress, of course. Brilliant. Well, it's always nice to know that you guys go through the same things that we do as well. Okay, so random question then. If there was going to be a film about your life, who would you have play you?
oh gosh, I don't know. I have
Somebody
no
with
idea.
good hair, that's for sure.
I don't know. I don't know. Hopefully somebody better looking than me to make people think like, hey, he was probably a good looking guy, and it's we'll go with something like that. Somebody better looking than me, and people can remember me as a better looking person than I am.
Yeah, it's exactly. I usually say that. I usually pick Kate Beckinsale because I go, she's kind of got similar colouring to me, but she's much better looking. That'll do. So why don't we go for somebody like, I don't know. Brad Pitt's a good option. We could stick a wig on him, couldn't we?
Brad Pitt, man, you're shooting for the sky, man, right
Hey,
there.
well, it's
Yeah, I mean, sure. I
go for
mean,
it.
whoever, whatever, I would be just like blown away that my life would be exciting enough to have warrant a movie in any
Uh,
regard.
exactly. Well, if we're going to do it, which you never know, we might. And when he watches back the interview, because Brad watches all my interviews, I wish,
Yeah, oh yeah,
he might just say, I'll put my name down for it. And there you go.
mine as
Boom.
well. He follows, yeah, all my stuff on social
Yeah,
media.
yeah.
Big fan of mine. Yeah.
Yes. Cool. Right. So I think we have genuinely lost Brandon for good, haven't we? So what we'll do is a couple more questions. Is there anything we've talked about quite a few bits and bobs? Is there anything we haven't mentioned, like secrets or exclusives that are coming up? I know you mentioned an album for 13. Is there anything else that you can drop out here that
Got that coming out. So that should be the first singles, I think, should be popping up somewhere around the time of the Revolution Saints actual release. Frontiers usually does like some lead
Yeah,
in. They
release
release
bag
singles,
yeah.
and then whenever the actual release date is, I think is right around the time you'll start seeing or hearing the first singles from Joel Hoekstra's 13. So excited about that. Excited to be doing some US dates at Brandon. I suppose we could break down the dates for everybody. We're in Bannerman's, Edinburgh, Scotland, April 11. April 12, we're at Ivory Blacks, Glasgow, Scotland.
We are.
The 13th, we're at the Underworld Camden in London, England.
Yeah.
The 14th, we're at the Brickmakers, Norwich, England. 15th, we're at the Music Room, and you're going to have to help me here. Ipswich.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's it.
England. Yeah, 16th, the Patriot Home of Rock Newport in
Yeah,
Crumlin, Wales.
that's it. Yeah.
Did I get the
Hang
pronunciation
on, you
right?
did. Yeah.
Okay, the station, the 18th, we're at the station, Cannock, England,
Yeah.
and just outside of Birmingham. And the 19th, we're at Trillions, Newcastle, England. The 20th, we're at Yardbirds, Grimsby, England. 21st, we're at Whittles in Oldham, just outside of Manchester.
Yeah.
The 22nd, we're at the Diamond Club in Ballymena. How do you say
I
that?
don't know either, but I think we'll go with that.
That's Northern Ireland.
Northern Ireland, yeah.
Okay. And then the 23rd, we wrap things up at the Grand Social in Dublin, Ireland. So looking forward to seeing everybody over there. Please come on out and come hang with us, and shout some requests at us and whatever. Like, come hang out. Let's hang out and have a little, let's make this a fun 2 weeks in the UK, Ireland. We'll easily have an opportunity to say hello and, just looking forward to seeing everybody and hanging out.
Yeah, it'll be brilliant. And actually, what we'll do then is we'll round off because I know you've got loads of stuff to do because you're super busy. But if there was one thing a dream accomplishment, something you haven't actually achieved yet that you'd love to, what would it be, do you think?
You know, I'm not one of those people who sets like the goal of like, this is what I'm going to do. What I tend to do is every day just work hard and try to stay productive and see what sticks. So I give the reasoning for that is that sometimes life takes you in directions that you never thought it would, and it ends up being a positive. So my prime examples for this are being 11 years old. I'm like playing Black Sabbath songs, and never in my mind was I ever thinking someday I want to play in a Broadway show, but being a part of Broadway's Rock of Ages for over 6 years here in New York City, that really changed my life. That period took me from kind of struggling guitarist to successful guitarist, where I had joined Night Ranger and Trans-Siberian Orchestra during that time. And with that show, that allowed me to sub out and still support those bands while I had a gig every day for over 6 years, basically. So, I mean, that was transformative. And the other thing is playing with Cher, because, never at 11 was I like, someday I want to play with Cher, but that ended up being something. We're doing the residencies with her, and then she went on the road, and we're playing for over 20,000 people a night. And so you just never know where life is going to take you, as long as you work hard and try and do your best with everything that you go for, with whatever your passion is. And so I try not to define exactly what my goals are, because you just never know. Sometimes things turn out better than you would have anticipated, or different. But the main thing for me is that to make sure that I can look in the mirror every day and be like, you tried, you worked today, you did your best. And so that's where I come from with the whole thing. And then the goals kind of take care of themselves,
Yeah. And I guess that's kind of the same sort of answer would be, if you wanted to leave a legacy, would you say the same sort of thing, like that I worked hard, that I did the best I could?
Yeah. Hopefully people like some of the music you leave behind, and are inspired by it. But obviously it'd be nice to be remembered as a good guy, not like a jerk, or somebody who had a fairly nice personality, and somebody who people say, yeah, nice guy. Like, that would be cool. I would be happy with that. And obviously it'd be nice to have some I don't know, music that touched people, or stuck with people.
That resonated with him. No, that's lovely. That's a very, very lovely aspiration. So I'm going to wrap up and say thank you so much, Joel, for your time. Thank you to Brandon as well, even though he's not quite on at the moment, but for joining us for as long as he could before the snow.
Well, these rock star types, you can't get them for too long.
We did our best. We did our best. But no, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And I think the shows in the UK are going to be they're going to be a little bit special. So I think if anybody doesn't buy the ticket and go to the show, I think they're going to be at home with the FOMO, and they're going to regret it. So my advice, people, now you've watched this, go online, find one of those shows, the nearest one to you. Let's make it convenient for you, because they're all over the place. But go and do it, because I think it's going to be really special. I'm really looking forward to it. I can't wait. So I think it's going to be.
Me too. I'm really excited about it. It's going to be a different experience for me. I've never toured the UK in such a manner, so I think it's different, exciting, and I hope to be able to make some friends over there, as opposed to just playing a giant show and going back to my hotel room. So
we're ready for you. We want to make friends with you. You'll be sorry you said that. You'll be swamped. It'd be brilliant.
I'll take it anytime. I'm a fan person for sure. I'm a people person, so all good.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. Right, well, thank you so much. So I will let you go, but we will see you in the UK in April.
All right, cheers. Looking forward to it. Okay.